Alright, I wanted to show you how to maybe set up a video if you wanted to. We did sort of a series of views previously, and I'm going to kind of use these 3 views. I like to get my views set up, or my keyframes, like where I think I might want to stop and pause. You really want to break your video up into smaller links, and so I have a whole series of views here that I can choose from that lead me from outside the building to inside the building, and I'm going to try to get these 3 done for this video tutorial. So the first thing you want to do is go to where you want to start your view. So I'm just going to go to my V0, which is kind of where I want to start my video. Now once I have that set, I can turn on the video editor in Enscape, which is here, right? Or you can also type K. So if I come in here and type K, it brings up this video editor. And what I want to do is I want to add a keyframe, which is going to put a little camera there. So you're going to see it appear right here. It's just sort of your starting point, right? And then I'm going to go to my next view, so my V1, and that's going to switch me into that. And then I'm going to add another keyframe. So you're going to see it's going to push that keyframe further down the road, and it's also going to give you a time lapse during those 2, which for this is like 22.5 seconds, but I'm going to pull that back to where it's pretty fast, maybe 5 seconds, and then I'm going to preview that, and you're going to see it kind of swing into view. So basically it puts the tweens in between, so that's pretty straightforward. Now we could render this if we wanted to, but if we preview it again, we get kind of close to that building right there, and I'd like to change that. So if I back out while I'm still in the video editor, you can actually see the path, right? And if I hover over the path, it will let me add another keyframe, so another camera that I can adjust. So if I click here, right, it will add that keyframe. And just if I go back, right, and let's add the keyframe, and then I confirm it, right, and go back, you can see that camera in there, and I can access that keyframe by double clicking on the camera, right, and if I go back, I can also double click on this additional keyframe that I have in here. And so if I do that, I can kind of swing it out maybe to the left a little bit and apply that, and then go back, and you can see how it's kind of pulled it further out. And then if I preview that, you'll see it misses that building by a little more, and we could continue to adjust that. So I wanted to show you that sort of little bit of information. And then the next thing you would do once you have this sort of initial setup for your video, you would render it. So if I come under the video pull down here, you can render your video. And so I'm just going to go in and render it. The other thing you can do is you can save your camera path. I should have said this before the render video. You can save your camera path. If I click on this, I can save this path. So it's going to save all those keyframes. And I can take it and I can name this V0 to V1, right? Which is basically what it is. And save that. And it saves the settings of that path so I can reload it at any time, because you can only have one camera path in Enscape current at a time. And so what you can do now is you can come in and you can render this video, right? And it's going to save it as an MP4. I'm going to cancel there. If you go to your settings again and you go to your visual settings and you go to capture, this is the frame per second and the compression quality, right? And your frames per second. All right, so that's what you get to set up. And it's going to render, right now it's rendering at a custom aspect ratio, so you probably would want to set that to one of these, like full HD, right? And that would give you a 1.78, and then you can render this out. If I go ahead and go to video and render video, save that in my render images and click save, it's going to start going through and rendering that video out. And it's going to take a little while, but it shouldn't take too terribly long, right? You see the white cubes coming in the background. And so it's actually pretty quick, you know. So once that guy stops, I'll go ahead and if I pull that over, you can see it's rendered into my folder that I set. And if I double click on that, whoops, let's pull that over here and play that, right? So there's that render, which is actually pretty nice, you know. It's a little fast, but I did it so it wouldn't take up too much time for us. And then you can obviously put that in a video editor, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I'll come back and do the other two in a minute.